Okay, Sonny, fair to say that was emotional.
Yeah, it was beautiful moments and it was really emotional. Whew, I'm getting emotional again. Yeah, it's beautiful moments and yeah, what can I say?
It must be so difficult. Look, you've done 10 years. You've done so much in that time. I can imagine it's quite difficult when it must all just come flooding back when you're standing with your teammates and you're in your home country. It's almost like a perfect moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was a perfect moment and it was really tough, to be honest, in the last couple of weeks. But I think the moments of sharing these beautiful moments, I think is the something that I will never forget, and there's something that I will always appreciate it. So, so from the fans, from the players, also from the gaffer, and he understood my situation, and he was always on my side and always listened to me, and then he always asked about my things, what I want to do. So yeah, I think I have a huge respect, and I'm very grateful.
Take us into the dressing room before the game. What was that like? What were you saying to the players?
Yeah, I said exactly the same thing. The players made it a better person, They made me better person than better player, So I'm such a lucky guy that having such an amazing group of players, amazing group of the boys next to me, and feels like they're little my brothers, now. So I just wish them all the best, and they have a 5 competition in their ahead. So I hope. Thank you. I hope they win all the five competition as much as possible, and yeah, that's my wish, and that's my hope, and Spurs will be always my heart, and those boys will be always in my history book. So yeah, I'm very glad and very happy.
Just finally, how do you sum up 10 years of Spurs? I mean, what words?
Incredible. I mean, it was incredible. I mean, gone so fast, the 10 years. Some amazing moments, some beautiful moments, and I can only think about the beautiful moments, and amazing moments. So Spurs will be always in my heart, and I will cheer you, as a family member. So all the best, guys.
Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We are, of course, your multi-award winning Tottenham Hotspur podcast, and for us, this is an iconic edition of Last Word on Spurs, where we do give the final farewell to the Tottenham Hotspur legend, Heung-min Son, UEFA Europa League winner, 454 appearances for the football club, 173 goals, 101 assists, 1 Puskas Award, 1 Premier League Golden Boot, 1 Premier League Goal of the Season, 4 Premier League Player of the Months, 2 Premier League Goal of the Months, record Asian scorer in the Premier League, record Premier League goal combinations. He is Heung-min Son. He is Mr. Tottenham. And this is our final farewell to the great man. Helping us on this show, 8 years in alongside me. It started where it all began. Jason McGovern is alongside me. We've got a very special guest we're going to bring in a second. But Jason, how are you, mate? Can I just say that I think this is going to be one of the most emotional shows I think I've ever done with you.
Have you got your tissues ready already?
Oh.
No, I'm looking forward to this. Great memories of him, and we'll go through his Spurs time, but just a wonderful player for us, and it's going to be hard to think when I go there next. Well, I see them in midweek, but going to Tottenham next Saturday, realising Sonny's no longer with us, will be a very strange feeling. That's for sure.
Amen. And one man that has followed Sonny's journey throughout his time at Tottenham, I think it's fair to say, has been one of the most interesting people to have a look at, especially on the online space, of the feelings around Son. And whenever I think there's feeling or an indication of kind of where Sonny's at, I always go and check this man out, and he's followed our journey as well on Last Word on Spurs. It's my pleasure to welcome the legendary South Korean journalist. This is special when this man's on here. Sunmo Lee's on Last Word on Spurs. Sunmo, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on here. How are you?
Hello, how are you guys? Thank you, and thanks for inviting me here. And actually, Licky invited me here quite many times before, but I always said, "I'm sorry, guy. I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry. Not now. Later, when it's proper and perfect timing." And then I think now is the perfect timing, because before I never wanted to talk about speculation or what's not clear, but now we all know what happened, and now we can properly look back. And also, I will be honest, there's no super important exclusive or something from me, but I do have some inside information which only I got. I believe it's not super important, but still, maybe I can share with you guys today. So anyway, thanks for inviting me here, and I will try my best to deliver what I experienced and what I think about Son with you guys today.
Sunmo, thank you so much. I mean, what I say, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on here. And yes, I have driven you crazy before to say, come and join us. And you've always said when the time is right, you would come and join us. So it's a real honor and a pleasure to have someone of your stature on this show for sure. And what I will just say, look, if you've loved any moment of Sonny's time at Spurs, we ask you if you can just to share this show out to a worldwide audience, because this is probably, the last time we are going to have a real intrinsic focus on Sonny's journey at Tottenham. And I mean it when I say this, to do it with Jason, who we started this show with 7-8 years ago, along with the wonderful Sunmo Lee. This is going to be extra special. So if you can, like I say, for us guys, like this video, push it out to a worldwide Spurs audience. We would be massively greatly appreciated. But look, where to start? We could start in so many places with Sonny. But I'm going to start, if I can, actually, just in relation to the recent tour, and we'll kind of walk our way backwards, because Spurs have just completed their tour of Asia. Intrigued to know kind of what you made of that tour in general, and whether you noticed anything differently personally, Sunmo, about Sonny, a man that, as I've said, you've followed his career, you've been out there on a lot of these tours as well. What have you made of the last 2 weeks or so when he was out on that tour for you, and anything different that came to mind?
You know, if I speak in Korean, in my language, I can speak like 3 or 5 hours straight, non-stop right here. But as I need to speak in English, please, guys, please understand I'm not 100% native speaker. Please understand about that. But let me start with, even in your question, there are 3 or 5 angles I can imagine. So let me start with about the point, about the angle of the video you showed. Son himself said, this is a perfect moment to say goodbye. What I really felt in that stadium, the Son's final game and Son's final press conference, all those moments in Hong Kong and in Seoul, what I really strongly felt was, it's sad. It's very sad, but it's also the best possible ending. I believe there's only one thing missing, but I will mention about that later. But it's sad, but it's best possible ending. I truly believe. Bearing in mind, in football, there's no perfect ending. No, there's no perfect ending. When we think about the superstars of football, Ronaldo, Messi, Mbappe, when they left Manchester United, Barcelona, PSG, was it any better than this? I believe Son's ending with Spurs is one of the most beautiful ending in his football history. Although, I mean, bearing in mind, as I said, there's no perfect ending. There's nothing like that. There's no perfect ending which makes 100% of people satisfied. But still, considering all of that, I believe this was the perfect timing, because most importantly, I spoke about this with Licky, right? We both want Son live high, getting praised and loved. And living at this moment, it makes Son's last game for Spurs was the Europa League final. The moment he lifted the trophy was the last moment for Son, for Spurs. There is nothing better than that, I believe, realistically. And also, it was perfect timing for Son to refresh himself. He said he needed that, and we can all see. It's just 1 week 1 week since he announced his intention to leave in Seoul, and he's also already in LA. He's full of ambition to start with, and he wanted that. He needed that as well. So, in terms of Son, in both ways, it was perfect timing, and also for Tottenham, I believe, especially for new manager Thomas Frank. I believe he needs to rebuild the team freshly. Then let's imagine if this transfer situation lasted until the end of August or end of the last moment. Then he had to involve Son in the team, and then Son leaves, and then he needs to rearrange all situation. It's very complex for him. So by leaving at this moment, actually, I believe Son, even when he's leaving the club, Son made the perfect timing for the new manager to have a fresh start. So we can kind of say that was Son's last present for Spurs and the new manager as well. So in both ways, in Tottenham's perspective and in Son's perspective, I believe it was the best timing, best possible ending. And also, just one thing, I think what is missing is, I'm pretty sure both South Korean fans and UK fans would agree with this, that one thing missing is that Son didn't have a chance to give a farewell at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Yeah, but I believe we can expect that to happen in 1 or 2 years later. For example, Tottenham can invite LAFC to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and then Son, and there is Yuris as well. They come to London and they can have a friendly match, and then they can have a proper farewell to Tottenham Hotspur fans in London and in UK as well. So, as I said in the beginning, there's no perfect ending in football, but considering all this situation, I believe it is sad, but it was best possible ending, I believe. Yep.
Oh, hello, Jason. This is emotional already.
Sonny's final appearance, of course, for us came last Sunday. How appropriate was it that it was in his own country, in front of his own adoring population? And just what did you make of the respect that you could see even Newcastle with Eddie Howe and the Newcastle players with the guard of honour they gave him was fantastic to see. What did you make of his send-off last Sunday?
In that stadium, actually, right that moment when I was watching that in media seat, I wrote on my Twitter, on my X, I still call it Twitter. Twitter is better. That I believe Son is probably the most loved player ever. If I have to put one of the, maybe, I mean, we have Messi and Ronaldo. I mean, obviously there could be some more, I mean, some players who had more trophies or something like that. But in terms of being loved by the whole world, especially from the teammate, you can just feel that how much that all teammates love him, and even the opposite players just love him. Everybody's loving him, and we can feel that in front of 60,000 of something like that, the Korean fans, his home country fans. It was just full of love on Son, and it was really, while I was sitting there, I could just only feel like that, and I just wrote that. Maybe, probably, I believe Son is the most loved player ever. If I have to put one of the, that's how I felt right away at that moment. Yeah.
It's funny you said it, somewhere, because I mean, I know Jason doesn't associate himself with these kind of people, but I have friends that are Arsenal supporters. Jason looks at me disgustingly like that. Jason has a certain caliber of who he can associate himself with. Unfortunately, I do have a lot of friends that are Arsenal supporters, and they say to me it's actually very hard when they've played Tottenham to dislike Sonny. There's a real likability about him, not only as a player, but as a person. I think that is why you've seen not only such media attention, because I think we'll come on to it in the show. We know Sonny is a massive celebrity in his own right, you know, godlike as such, but there's a real likable factor about Sonny. And I think what you touched upon, and you was there for it, what are we now, a week on? It's almost like the world at that point, in terms of footballing terms, stood still when that press conference took place where Son confirmed his intention to leave Spurs. We've got to go back and just see a clip of that, because I think for a lot of people out there, maybe they didn't expect it to come. Let's remind ourselves of when Sonny informed us he'll be leaving Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for having us again here in Korea. So I think it's second in a row that we come to the Korea. I think everybody's really appreciated, and having us is just incredible. Yesterday in the airport, we just felt welcomed, and everybody loved it. So everybody can't wait to play. And tomorrow, but before we start the press conference, I just want to share the information that I decided to leave this club in this summer. So, and respectfully, this club and is helping me to my decision. So, I just want to share this information before we start the press conference. So, thank you.
Sonny, obviously, you've given us 10 years of wonderful memories at Tottenham, and obviously made so many amazing friendships at Spurs. How difficult is it going to be to kind of depart from all those things?
Yeah, I mean, I said before, it was the most difficult decision I made in my football career. So I've been here 10 years in a beautiful club and beautiful fans, and having such amazing memories, and after that, leaving this club, I think it was just so hard to make a decision. But as I said, I just felt like I need a new environment to push myself and to get more of me. I think I just need a little bit of change. I mean, 10 years is a lot of time. I'm thinking about it. So, and I came to North London as a kid, 23 years old, very young age. Young boy came to London who even didn't speak English. So, and leaving this club as a grown man is very, very proud moment. So I just want to say thank you all of the Spurs fans that gave me so much love, and felt like it was my home. So, but yeah, it was one of the toughest decisions I've ever made. So yeah, I hope the goodbye is always also a good time, you know. So, but I think it's the right time to make this decision. So I hope that everybody understands that my decision, and hope that everybody respects that.
Yeah, I think it's for me personally, I would love to work a little bit with this fantastic person and player in every aspect. Now I've had the opportunity to follow him from distance, first in Hamburg, Leverkusen, and obviously 10 years in Spurs. Not only 10 years, 10 amazing years in Spurs, and he's a truly Spurs legend in every aspect. I think one of the best players I actually ever played in the Premier League, in my opinion, as a winger. But I like that the club has been open to it, because it's never easy to find that perfect timing, and me coming a little bit in from the side, I think it's probably the perfect timing, going out on a high. Been here 10 years, won the well-deserved trophy, be a key player for many seasons. So it's almost the perfect ending to a happy fairy tale.
Decision, and if so, how did they react?
Yeah, I spoke with only a few guys that already spent long times, and obviously I think they're a bit disappointed. It's clear as a friendship or as a teammate, everybody would be very disappointed if somebody decides to leave. But I mean, in a respectful way. So obviously I'm very close with Ben. So obviously we're talking about the future a lot of times, but he fully respects my decision. So. And but so do everyone, you know. So yeah, what can I say? It's very hard to tell the teammates that sometimes I spend more time with my family because we're traveling together, spending time every single day in the training ground, and 5-6 hours every single day. So yeah, I think we know more than what everybody told. I think so, but everybody was a bit disappointed, but in a very happy way, you know. So that's what was my feeling, but I don't know what the actual feeling is. But to be fair, they were very happy. But also on the side, I think they were a little bit disappointed. But yeah, that was my feeling.
So there you go. That was the full context behind Sonny's intention to leave Spurs. Jason, I'm going to ask you a second what you've made of the last week with relation to the coverage from Tottenham directly. But Sonny, if you don't mind me asking you, I just have to ask you this. For someone that was there in that moment, what was your reaction? Because you've watched this man from a boy, from a very young man, progress through his time at Spurs, winning that trophy, then the intention to leave. Just give us a feeling what that was like, being in that, what you have to say now. What are we, a week on from the production of that press conference? Yeah. It's an iconic moment in football. Is that fair to say, as big as that? It felt like that.
I said exactly the same. I said right after that press conference is over, I wrote on my channels, this was historic. In my opinion, it was historic press conference, an iconic press conference, really, because not only the content, what he said, but the way they revealed it in front of everybody, 100% honest, is really, it was the best press conference I ever attended. And I really believe it was historic and iconic press conference. And then one, I can give you let me give you some 2 or 3, some kind of little stories about that. First one, the video you just saw was took by me. I took that. I was sitting in the first row. I always sit in the first row in the press conference because I always ask questions to the manager and player. And luckily, in that press conference, someone was right in front of me. It's just like 5 meters in front of me. There was nobody between him and I. And then, and so I could see him. And when I asked the question, he knows my face because he saw me 10 years. I had a little interview with him in the mixed zone everywhere, a lot of times. So he saw me. And then before I talk about those kind of things, let me bring you back to Hong Kong, because the start of the preseason tour, because the moment I felt something is not right and what happened, the build up to the press conference, because I believe what I want to say is that press conference was the perfect way. That was the to open everything in that press conference was the best possible decision Spurs could make. Because when you think about that press conference now, you just feel like, oh, Sonny is leaving. We heard that announcement in that press conference. But before that press conference, everybody was unclear of what is going on, and there was tension and uncertainty, and the fans were uncomfortable of what's going on, because the fans and even media, the fans could feel there's something is happening. But in the press conference, Thomas Frank is always just saying kind of textbook. I'm not blaming him at all. He was doing the right thing as a manager. He cannot say anything else. Just he keeps saying Sonny is here. his son is the greatest, the legend, the best, one of the best players in Premier League. Good things about Son, but the fans were uncomfortable. There was tension, everything. But because they opened everything in their press conference, that changed everything very quickly, and then the fans finally can be relieved. And Son, club, the fans, everybody can be relieved. So I believe the idea of putting everything open 100%, and especially you need to consider that the fact they did that when the deal was not done. This is very important.
Yes.
Because if you open the fact Son is leaving, and then the club is willing to try to help him to find a new club, when the deal is not done, it can make you into a weaker position in negotiation. Because everybody heard, okay, Son is leaving, right? So Son have to leaving. So Spurs risk that in their press conference by opening everything. But by risking that, they give the relief to the fans, to Son, to club, everybody. So I think this was really brilliant. And the build-up to the press conference was started in Hong Kong. And then in Hong Kong, when they started the pre-season tour, just before they come to South Korea, I could feel right away, on the first day, from the first day I saw Son, there's something strange. He's not like normal, happy Son. It was my first time to see Son seems unhappy in training in front of the fans. So I definitely feel something is not right. And then after the open training is over, in the mixed zone, I was waiting for Son in the mixed zone, because even in last year's pre-season tour, I had one-to-one interview with Son. So I was waiting for Son, and then he moved not through the mixed zone, but he moved out from outside of the building. And then before he took the bus, he saw me, and then he did like this, saying, "I'm sorry." And then when I saw that, I was like, is it me? And then there was Alistair Gold and Jay Harris next to me, and then is it me or not? And then they both say it's you. Son is saying to you, and then because and at that moment I knew, okay, there's something he wants to say, but he cannot say right now. Because I know Son, even when those kind of situation, he always comes to media normally and say, "I'm sorry, I cannot do the interview today." But in that case, he was different. So I definitely know there is something, but he cannot say that at the moment. And then in Hong Kong, before we moved to South Korea, it was like 2 or 3 days before we moved to Korea. There was kind of a meeting. How can I say? I cannot name the person who I met, but I met many people in this trip, many high in a higher position who can make decisions. I met many people, and then among one of them was, we had kind of open questions, open kind of discussion, or he even asked us how we think about this situation, what's our opinion about how the club communicate, all these kind of things. We had that kind of moment. I cannot name the person, but we did. And then in that moment, what I clearly found out is that Spurs were truly willing to cooperate with Son's transfer, even if they have to lower their transfer fee. It is not the case with a lot of Tottenham's previous stars, right?
Very true.
You all know that
Yes.
in the past there are many cases that Tottenham stick to the asking price till the end, so the deal dropped all the direct until the last moment. But they truly, I asked about this specifically. Is this true or not? Answer me. Is this true or not? Is this lie or true? I really specifically asked it, and then it was true. And then it happened really, actually, in the end. And one more thing, they did really, truly. I think there are two things behind that decision. First, really they respect Son, what he did. Also, they would like to keep Korean fans happy. Obviously, why not? And then the second one is about the press conference. And while we are talking about that very openly, very, very freely, there was some kind of moment that the club would like to also listen to our opinion about how to communicate those things. And I thought, okay, this is the moment where I go, where I attack. And then I said, truly, I said, really, look, let's be honest. Let's be honest. This situation is not good for anyone because everybody, not only me, not only the journalists, not only all fans know there is something going on. And they are worried, they are stressed. But in every press conference, just the manager, I understand he can only do that, but the manager only speaks in neutral way. When the situation is neutral, the manager says neutral, then it's neutral. But when it clearly seems the player is going away, but if the manager keeps speaking neutral way, it's not neutral. That gap makes a lot of noise, a lot of worries, a lot of uncertainty, right? So I said, how about you open everything and say to respect Son, we will do everything. How about that? And then there was some saying we spoke about why it's difficult to do, and the first response was I 100% understand what you're saying. I agree with you, but there's also another reason why it's difficult to do, and there's those kind of stuff. And then eventually 3 days later, important fact is I'm not saying it's from me, it was from another person. I will say that exactly who it was. And then 3 days later, they did open everything in the Seoul press conference, which I believe was the best idea. They cannot do anything better in their press conference. And after the press conference is over, I asked to the guy, this guy, I will tell you exactly whose idea it was. Was it Son or was it Thomas Frank? Whose idea it was to open everything in this press conference? I asked to the person, and the person said, me. It was my idea. I suggested to open everything because, and if we don't put Son in this press conference, it is disrespectful for Korean fans. So I said, let's put Son and let's be honest. Let's open what you can do. And then the person was the media officer of Tottenham. Do you know who is the media officer of Tottenham?
Yes, we do, but I'm not sure if he wants his name broadcasted, but I do know the media officer of Tottenham, yes.
Yeah, for the fans, to explain for the fans, the media officer is always there, but you almost never notice because he's always sitting next to the manager and managing the press conference. And it was the media officer, suggested to Son and Thomas Frank, let's go this way, let's do this way. And then it worked. It perfectly worked. So I wanted to say, this is all built up for the press conference. What I would like to really say is that sometimes in football, for important incident like this, sometimes it happens not from the player, not from the manager. Sometimes it happens from the staff. And I really believe these guys need much more praise and much more recognition, kind of say. And I truly believe the media officer of Tottenham needs promotion for making this happen. So I'm sorry, I was a bit long. I could be longer, but this is the maximum I can make it shorter. Sorry about that. And that is my.
I love that. Look, we're going to go for another break in a second, but Jace, I have to go to Jason to ask Jace. There's a lot of some of those answers there. I thought it's so insightful that many would not have known unless we've got this great man on air with us. What have you made, Jace, of the last week? Because I've got my bugbears with regards to the way Spurs do things, communication and certain aspects of the way they maybe handle transfer markets. But I have to say that I think the way in which they have handled the Sonny transfer and the communication, I think has been absolutely first class. Just in terms of the content over the last week, I think if nobody wasn't emotional after seeing those videos that were going up, and it was like, stop uploading them. We're already dead. We can't take any more. I mean, give me your feelings, Jace, before we go for this next break of what it's been like this last week and the content that has been around Sonny that just reminds you there's a lot of kids growing up that are Spurs fans now that have only known Sonny in a Tottenham shirt. So they've only known Son. You know, my boys, bless them, they've only known Son. You know, again, he's been at the club for a decade. What have you made the last week, Jace?
Well, I definitely think, you know, his send-off's been bigger than anyone's at Tottenham, hasn't it? You know, even Harry and Jan Vertonghen's and that never got this type of send-off. And it's fitting that he got the send-offs. But the videos this week, they were fantastic watches, but they were hard to watch. They were really emotional, and I think you really get the feeling of what Tottenham meant to Sonny, what the supporters meant to Sonny, and you know we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I think you see in those videos just why he will go down as such a legend, even beyond winning that trophy. The affinity that he has with supporters, the respect that he's got from supporters, all come through in those videos. So yeah, it's been a classy week and a very classy way to say goodbye for sure.
Yeah, look, we're going to squeeze in our next break of the show. We're going to attempt to play you an interview from James Maddison, who talks about the impact of Sonny on Tottenham and vice versa. And then when we come back, we've spent nearly 40 minutes on Son's press conference. We've then got to try and look back at his career. So strap in for about another 5 hours, I think, as Sunbo said.
I'm sorry, guys.
We wouldn't change it for the world. I tell you what, for me and Jason, I'm not sure if you agree, you know, there are very few players that deserve this kind of send-off, Jason, a Spurs shirt. And I think for us, having done this show for, 7-8 years, would you agree, Jace, that for Sonny, he deserves this?
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Just, you know, his status is without question, isn't it? So, yeah, it's been it's been a really fitting week and fully deserving of him.
Absolutely. Look, we're going to go for our next break of the show, and we're going to bring you in James Maddison, who talks about the effect of Heung-min Son.
Yeah, he told me a couple of days ago that he'd be leaving Tottenham this summer. Listen, it's weird for me. Since I joined the Premier League, even with Leicester City, Sonny is Tottenham, you know, and Tottenham is Sonny to me. It's weird to think about Tottenham Hotspur without Heung-min Son. So a little bit emotional. He's obviously a very close friend of mine, someone who I love very dearly. He's an amazing human. I just don't have enough. I don't have enough time or enough words to tell you how I actually feel about him, because he's not only a great person and a great guy, but the way he treats everyone around him with the same amount of respect, the way he treats people's families when he doesn't even know them personally, the way he greets people, how respectful he is, how much humility he has for someone of his profile. I can't say enough good words about him. I will miss him very dearly, but he is my friend for life. So
there you go, the wonderful James Maddison there, reflecting on the departure of Heung-min Son. I will ask you out there, for those that are watching this on the playback, if we can urge you just to hit that like button for us. If you've loved any of Sonny's time at Spurs, share this out to a wide range Spurs audience, because this is a very, very special show for me and Jason. I think for everybody around the world that has loved Last One on Spurs over the last 7-8 years and taken a real affinity to Heung-min Son, we ask you to please, if you're listening and watching it live, if you're on the playback, please like the show, share this out to a wide range Spurs audience, because there won't be many more times, and that's quite emotional to say, we'll be deepening into this kind of detail with Heung-min Son. I want to go, Jace, to you very quickly, because we've seen an outpouring of love from Sonny, not just from fans around the world, but also from his teammates. I mean, have you ever seen a man, you know, loved and adored so much by his teammates? And for those that are watching the show on YouTube, they'll see actually the comments that we've got from a lot of Sonny's current, present teammates. And it just shows you, Jace, really the love they've had for Sonny. I mean, is there been anybody as loved as Son in terms of from a teammate perspective either?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you know, lots of players leave and you see lots of great messages, but they're mostly about the respect they have for them as players and for individual things and that they've done for a football club. But with Sonny, it's so much more about the person, isn't it? And I think that's the great thing with him, the humility, and that has always shone through. The joy has always come through. I don't think you can ever think of Sonny without your first thought being the Sonny smile type of thing. And that's why it was, as Sungmo said, you could just tell in those first couple of days in Asia something was definitely wrong, because that smile had gone, and it was just so noticeable that the smile had gone. So definitely, you know, Kane left, Hugo's left. You know, there's so many great players have left to respect to their footballing abilities, but this is totally different for sure.
It most certainly is. Look, we're going to turn our attention, if we can, to Sonny's career at Spurs, which, God, I mean, we could be here for 5 hours, because there is so much we could talk about with regards to Son. I mean, where do you even start? I'll start, if I can, in asking you 2 points, Summo, on this. When did Korea realise they had a very special talent in Sonny? And how big were the hopes when he first came to Europe? And then also, as a two-part, I'm asking, following on from that, what were your thoughts when he first joined Tottenham, and honestly how he was viewed? I know there's a lot I've asked you there. If you can give us your thoughts on that, that'd be great.
Yeah. For this one, I will be a bit brief, because in order to not making 5 hours show today. Okay. And then,
well, listen, we've got as long as you want. We're loving this, so we've got as long as you want. Jason's saying 4 hours. The first time Jason, first time Jason will ever ask for a longer show. So it must mean you're very special. So please, somebody take it away.
Okay, and the first moment you mentioned, if any of the fans watching this show didn't watch this goal, you must watch now, right away. The goal he scored in his debut game, first team debut game for Hamburg. It was 2010. He was 18. His debut goal, it was just a beauty. His run, his touch, and then his just tap in. It was all perfect. And then that goal was so awesome. And every South Korean fans, he was highly expected already. But that goal in his debut, in the first team game, it was almost certain. We were sure, Korean fans are sure, we have a new superstar after Ji-sung Park. We were sure that moment was the star was born. If anyone watching this show didn't see this goal, you need to see, really. And then one of your questions was how. Please understand if I skip any questions. I mean, anyway, how Spurs were viewed when he moved to Spurs, right? It is exactly, I can put that like this. There are two aspects. First is that you had Lee Young-pyo as well, right? I hope you all remember him. Lee Young-pyo is also one of the most best legend player of South Korea. So still, some people actually remember the Lee Young-pyo's time at Spurs. So they have soft spot for Spurs as well. And also, in general, in Premier League fans or in football fans in general, Tottenham was viewed like a club which is normally ranked from 5th to 7th, just outside of Big Four. We have Big Four era, right? Manchester United, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, when they had Ferguson, Wenger, Mourinho, and Benitez, something like that. So from that time, for most of Korean fans' mind, Tottenham is a club just next to them, so competing right after them. So everybody knew Tottenham is a great club, and then also on top of that, they had Lee Young-pyo as well. So it was generally Korean fans welcomed his move to Tottenham. Yeah.
Jace, I'm going to do something I wasn't meant to do and steer you out the running order for a second. I hope you don't mind me doing this, because we and you discussed this actually off air a while ago, and this is to you, not Sungmo, this question. Football is about sliding doors moments, and we're going to come on to your feelings of Sonny and how maybe he did struggle in that first season, Jace. But Jace, it wasn't always maybe going to be Sonny. You know, I think we knew in the build-up to Sonny's transfer, there was a lot around the potential move of Saido Berahino. And for those that, like you, can't stand the transfer market, this was a transfer saga. You know, many talk about in the present day the failure to get Morgan Gibbs-White over the line. The Saido Berahino one with Jeremy Peace at West Bromwich Albion, if those that remember that protracted transfer that never came off, went backwards and forwards, and the player was apparently in a difficult situation. And then the news broke from David Ornstein at the time. David Ornstein, this goes back to 26th of August 2015, where David says Tottenham are considering ending interest in Saido Berahino, but are in talks with Bayer Leverkusen to sign Korean forward Heung-min Son. Sorry I'm taking you outside the running order, Jace, but can you remember back then, in terms of not just the reaction, but maybe the fact that the feeling with Spurs fans, we know what it does to Spurs fans in the transfer window. Look, we're seeing it right now. It's lovely to have a break away from the transfer window in this special iconic show, but does it just show how football is all about sliding doors moments, Jace?
Well, not unlike Tottenham to miss out on their top target in a transfer window, is it? You know, at the time, Berahino had a really good season with West Brom. And I think he was banging goals in for England under-21 sides. He looks a really decent little striker. And I think we bid something like 21 million for him, or 17 million, and Jeremy Peace wanted 21 million or something. And we refused to pay the extra 4 million or whatever it was. And Jeremy Peace was insistent he's going nowhere. And of course, it's not just a sliding doors moment for us. It's Saido Berahino's career never recovered from that transfer. So that was different. I think I heard afterwards Tottenham were saying that there was still the interest in Sonny, and that quite possibly had Berahino come, that they would still have signed Heung-min Son. So that's pure conjecture that we can look back on now. But yeah, it was a strange one, and I think there was some negativity towards it, partly because yet again Daniel Levy and Tottenham have missed out on a transfer target, and we know how we go in windows. But big sliding doors moment for sure. That's for sure.
And then come on to that point, like we said there, we've spoken about Sonny, of course, just signing for the football club. And I think what's key is, Jace, that we know that not everything went to plan for Sonny in that kind of first season. But, you know, even for those that haven't seen it, Spurs officials stuck out the compilation of some of Sonny's great goals. You forget, actually, just how even in that first season, I think his fourth or fifth goal was the Watford goal. The little flick, unbelievable, just an unbelievable finish. A couple of goals against Stoke, Leicester, an absolute amazing goal. You know, it is quite crazy to think, you know, that there were concerns and uncertainties over the first season when you've seen already some of the most unbelievable goals that Sonny gave us in that first season. I mean, your feelings on that, Jace?
I think he also scored in the back of the bridge, didn't he? I think he scored one of the goals in that one as well. So no, I mean, it was an up and, I mean, we'll talk to Sonny about that, but it was an up and down season for him for sure. But definitely, I mean, the Watford goal is an iconic goal, isn't it? I mean, to do that in the last minute, as you say, that the goal at Leicester that won, I think that was in the FA Cup replay, just an amazing goal that was, and it was a glimpse of things to come. But I mean, on that Sunmo, like we say, there was glimpses in that first season, but how much of a struggle was it for him, and how big a danger was there that come the end of that season, that he decided, look, maybe the Premier League isn't for me, and perhaps it is time to, perhaps I will look to go somewhere else.
I mean, yeah, I was there. I mean, I was actually from the beginning of Son. And then I could feel how lonely he could feel in that season while he was playing in White Hart Lane, when he was not feeling welcomed yet. And then, I mean, he had the issue of injury in November or something like that, October or November, when he had two issues in the first season, that he had to adapt to new league, new country, and also he got early injury. So after he is coming back from the injury, he's already a bit. He was not feeling comfortable in the club. And the thing is, you need to give you the context. From Son's perspective, until that moment, until that season, Son's career was like this, just going up, 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 and up. He had never, it was never like decreased like this. And then that season, I believe, that season was most toughest season for Son till now in his whole career. And then in terms of your later question, I mean, another question, and actually there was serious fear, really, even among media, Korean media, not only me, among all Korean media, that Son's career could be ended in the first season. Near to the end of the season, there was worry whether we will come back here next season or not, really, among all Korean media, because it was quite serious, and there was a chance for Son to go back to Germany in the summer as well. And then what I really, do I better continue now, or do I better speak later in your next question? I need to emphasize one man about this.
Well, I think there's no harm in, we can bring him in now. I think there's no harm in bringing him in now, because I'll hand to Jason, because this is probably where it ties in with the point around how Sonny did settle, and one man that was key for that. So Jason, I'll hand to you, because it feels appropriate that for once I think I've done too much talking, which probably you think is a first. I'll hand to you, Jason.
Yeah, I was going to say something. When was that first moment when it was looked at as Sonny, and you thought, yep, Sonny's arrived, Sonny will love the Premier League, Sonny's made for the Premier League? Was it early in that season?
No, let me ask you two things briefly. First one is, this is just between me and Son. Only I experienced in that first season when Son was struggling in many reasons. After one of the games, I was waiting for him in the mixed zone, and I was not even trying to ask him a question because he was not playing games at the time. So I was just trying to say, kind of cheer up, you can do it. Don't worry about too much, you can do it. Something like that. It's just a kind of human touch. I would like to do that. And then at that moment, I saw the Son's response was like, he was very, I'm okay, don't worry. I'm not worried about this situation. I will be fine. Don't worry, I will be okay. And then at that moment, I really felt, oh, this guy has real confidence and strength in him. Really, I think he could be a success in the Premier League. And then when I saw that in the pitch was in the second season, the Stoke City away game, when the Tottenham beat Stoke City 4-0 at the away game, right? And Son scored twice in that game.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
And at that game, I reminded of that talk of Son giving me in the mixed zone 1-to-1, because I really, this is Son. Now he will be a success. Now there's nothing to worry about. And then at the moment, I was sure that he will be a success. Yeah, that was the moment.
You referenced it, and Jason will probably come back to it, that there was obviously a key man involved, Samo, in settling a Sonny. Is it fair to say that some maybe don't realise how much of an influence Mauricio Pochettino did have in terms of settling Sonny? Would that be fair?
I really want to emphasize the fact that Mauricio Pochettino had a really, really important impact on Son's career, especially in Tottenham. Not only in Tottenham, actually, at least for three important factors. The first one is, it is not secret that he wanted Son even when he was in Southampton in 2013, I think, I remember. And then he wanted Son again in 2015 when after he moved to Tottenham. And then if he didn't push that after Southampton failure, if he didn't push that again, I believe Son wouldn't move to Spurs. And if Son didn't move to Spurs in 2015, I believe eventually, inevitably, Son would end up to another Premier League club in 2016 or 2017, because ever since Ji-sung Park's success at Manchester United, all Korean players' dream is to play in Premier League at some point in their career. So Pochettino made a very important role to bring Son in 2015. That's the first one. And also the second one is he's the person who persuaded Son to stay in Premier League and Tottenham when Son was seriously considering, and there was an opportunity for him to move back to Germany after the first season. So this whole miracle you guys and we experienced for 10 years couldn't even started and could be ended in first season without Pochettino. So I truly believe when you appreciate what Son did for Tottenham, you need to appreciate Poch as well. Really, I believe he was a very important person for Son's Tottenham career, and more. I didn't even mention the third one, which I will do later. It's even bigger than that. Yeah.
Okay, it's fascinating. Look, he was part of course, that Pochettino title challenging era. Just how much, Sungmo, were Tottenham boosted within Asia by those title challenges?
I think maybe you guys feel I push Poch too much, but it's just a matter of fact. I believe. As I just said to you, when there was the news that Son was moving to Spurs, the general perception of Spurs from Korean fans was that Spurs is a 5th to 7th ranked team in Premier League. In other words, Spurs was a Europa League level of club at that time, before Son moved to Tottenham. And then Poch changed that club into a Champions League regular club, right? What I'm saying is fact, right? He made the club as if Tottenham is a Champions League regular club, and it just level up the Tottenham status, not only in South Korea, but in whole Asia a lot. So I believe, that's the biggest difference, what happened in Pochettino's era.
Jace, let's bring you in. I don't know if you want to reflect on that for a second as well. Some of those words there about the influence of Poch. I know some don't look on Poch too kindly now because he took the move to Chelsea. I've said this to you off air, I've never ever felt any disdain towards Pochettino. I think it's been clear that at certain times since he's left the club, he's wanted to come back, and for whatever reason, as of yet, that hasn't happened. Do you think, as someone else touched upon there, you shouldn't underestimate the influence of Pochettino and how he did settle Son to have those, 2 title challenges where Tottenham were quite simply, let's be honest about it, at that time, one of the most exciting teams in Europe to watch. I mean, I don't think I'm saying anything out of turn. Am I, Jace, before you come on to your point?
Absolutely not. He played a massive role in Sonny. He played a massive role in Delhi, didn't he? Let's be honest. Look at Delhi's career since Poch was dismissed from Tottenham. So a massive part, and he changed the perception of Tottenham within the Premier League. And in fairness, probably even now we're desperate and we're comparing ourselves to get back to the level that Poch put us. But before Poch put us there, we were nowhere near that level. Nowhere near that. We might well have been 5th to 7th in the Premier League, but we never envisaged having title challenges and going towards Champions League finals and things like that. That's for sure. So without a doubt, Poch deserves a lot of credit. I've never had a problem that he went to Chelsea. Chelsea offered him a job. Tottenham didn't. Never had a problem with it at all. He's never behaved with anything other than class since he's left Tottenham for me. So a big part. And I think Delhi misses him as well as Sonny will miss him. That's for sure. But I mean, 2018 Sungmo saw another huge sliding doors moment in Sonny's career when he was selected for the 2018 Asian Games, which of course meant that only winning those Asian Games would make Sonny exempt from, I think it's an 18-month or is it 2-year military service. And it was by no means a straightforward tournament for Korea because they lost to Malaysia in the group stages. They had an extra time win against Uzbekistan in the quarterfinals, and of course went to extra time to beat Japan in the final. And Sonny actually himself only scored once in the tournament. But just how big a moment was that for Sonny's future career to get that military exemption.
It was life-changing moment, really, for Son and also for Tottenham, because all those things he achieved with Tottenham couldn't happen without that military exemption, right? And then you need to understand a bit further about the context of it. That is, the previous club of Son before Tottenham didn't allow him to play in the Asian Games in 2014. So he missed a chance. And then it was the important fact is it's not duty for the clubs to send their players in Asian Games. So Tottenham could also say, no, you should be here. We should prepare the season. He could just say no. And then, it was Pochettino. He allowed Son to go and participate in the tournament. Eventually, in the result, Son can win the tournament and got exemption from the military service. And then without that, this is roughly saying, without that, Son should be like come back to Korea. Only could stay in Europe like 2019 or 20 season, or should come back to 20 before he becomes 29 or 30 years old, something like that. There was, if you remember that time, there was some articles produced from English, from English media, right? So there was serious worry about that, and then all this issue was resolved, and then it was Poch who allowed Son to participate. And actually, this is not just what I read from the papers or something. I had an interview with Pochettino, one-to-one interview 3 times, and I indeed asked him about this. Why did you decide that when the previous club said no? And I still have that clip in my YouTube. And then this is exact wording from him. And he used a bit fun expression because he's Argentine. And imagine Argentine and Korean is speaking in English. How fun is that? And then this is exact his wording at that time for the reason why he allowed Son to participate the Asian Games. That he said, sometimes us, the managers, could be egoist. He said like this, could be egoist. We only thinking about us and what we would like to do. But the decision for us to allow Son to go was for Son and was for Korea and Korean national team before Tottenham. This is exact word from him. So I truly believe, because of these 3 things I mentioned so far about Pochettino, really I cannot emphasize anymore that Pochettino made a very good, very important role for Son, and especially Son and Tottenham relationship. Yeah.
Look, we're going to squeeze in very quickly our next break of the show for our listeners and audio, and what is a iconic edition of Last Word on Spurs for myself and Jason. That I think, you know what, I don't think we actually ever done this for Harry Kane, a farewell show, maybe given the nature of what actually happened around Harry and the circumstance of it. But I think for Sonny, this is incredibly special to be able to look back in many, many years to come. When I'm pushing Jason around in his wheelchair, and we put this show on together. And we remember we had the wonderful Sunmo Lee on with us to reflect on Heung-min Son, and I do think, as I think Jason has said it, you are only gonna really let it hit you when you don't see Sonny in that first matchday squad. I think at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I think that's when it's going to really hit us all that Sonny's moved on. And when we see Sonny playing that first game for LAFC, which isn't too far away, we're also joined by the legendary South Korean journalist Sunmo Lee, who Sunmo has said himself, we've been having this show in the making for a very, very long time and found the right time to record it. It's very special. I'm going to hand back to Jason, who I think is now going to reel off some of the most key moments. And we both are in Sonny's time at Spurs, and they don't start any bigger than one of those coming up that Jason's going to bring into focus. Jason, I'll hand back over to you.
I mean, obviously we open up at the new stadium, and Sonny scores the first goal in that new stadium, or the first senior goal in that stadium. But of course, that not long after that became what for me was the best games of those Champions League runs. The two with Manchester City, an amazing goal that he scores in the first leg. Two fabulous goals in the second one. The famous iconic look down the camera of "Do you know who I am?" after Pep had called us the Harry Kane team. How big a disappointment was it, even in Korea, that we didn't go on and win that Champions League, and Sonny was left heartbroken in that cup final?
Obviously, obviously it was very sad moment for all Korean people, right? Obviously, it is natural, and myself, I was in that stadium. I was watching the game. And then I was thinking, this could be the moment of I was there when Son is lifting the UCL Champions League trophy, but it didn't happen. So anyway, and I remember many sad moments after that game. But more than that, I would like to say that in that tournament, maybe if I confuse, please understand, because there are too many stories. But more than that, I would like to say, I think the best game for Son was Manchester away, when he scored twice. Yeah, exactly that game. And let me give you a story about that game. I was watching that game almost on top of the roof, near the roof of the Manchester City Stadium, because there were too many journalists requested accreditation for that game. So Manchester City cannot give all journalists the seat. So they put us in the guest seat, and it was behind 10,000 of Man City fans. So from my view, I was watching 10,000 Man City fans back, right? Can you imagine that? And then in that game, Son scored very early in the game, right? His first goal was in very early game. And then the response from the 10,000 Man City fans was like, there was absolute silence for like 3 seconds or 5 seconds. And then after that, they were saying, okay, it's just one goal. We can do it, something like that. It was really like that. And then the second goal, Son scored again in just like 5 minutes or something. And then when Son scored twice, the mood was like absolute silence for like 7 or 10 seconds. And then at that moment, while I was watching their backs, 10,000 Man City fans' backs, normally, even journalists like me, when we see those kind of great goals, you call screamer, right? Screamer. When we see screamer, we also say, wow, something like that. Even we are journalists, it's natural. We cannot resist to react to that. But at that moment, when he scored the second goal, it was a really nice goal. At that moment, by instinct, I knew if I say, wow, now in front of 10,000 Man City fans, I will die. And you can imagine that 10,000 Man City fans are looking back like this. I was scared, really. So even if I was thinking, that was really nice, there was absolute beauty, I was just like, instead of saying, wow, I was just like, wow, nice, like this. And that was one of the best memory of Son while I was watching him in the stadium. And because of those good memories, that losing UCL final, even if it's still very sad, is kind of, we can move on. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, look, one of the moments in 2019 that was again in that iconic bracket was, of course, that famous Sonny Puskas goal, which I'm pleased to say I was there for. I think in that moment when I was at the stadium, obviously around me was this kind of look of shock as to what he's done, but it's only actually when you get back home and then when you rewatch it on whatever it was at the time, if it was BBC, it was Match of the Day. If it was Sky Sports, it would have been the Sky Sports Super Cup clips. But it was just unbelievable. The goal itself. What was the reaction to that goal like, Samo, in Asia and South Korea in general? What was that like in terms of what Son had just done in that moment?
it's just like screaming everywhere and then shocking everywhere. And when we see those kind of goals, we often say Maradona goal. We express like that. Son scored the Maradona-ish goal, and then it was a bit different from. The angle was. The way was a bit different, but we all knew that he made a miracle moment, and then especially after he got the award from that goal, it was like really a pride of not only South Korea but also Asia. And I often think that for Son to say the best of Asia or something like that is I personally believe Son is beyond that level. In some way, to keep saying the best in Asia or just about Asia, is he beyond that level. He was already beyond the level. Anyway, it was very proud moment for all Korean people for sure. The award was a kind of never forgetting moment for sure. Yeah, that is what I think about that.
Yeah, I know what Jason is coming to next is interesting, because this is where many will feel Son almost certainly started to put that legacy into place. Jack, so I hand over to you.
Yeah, I mean, Sonny cemented his place, I think, in our hearts when in the summer of 2021 we had the ongoing saga of Harry Kane's move to Manchester City, and all the emotion and disappointment and things that brought up after TV interviews and things. But from the middle of nowhere came the news that Sonny had extended his contract, but I think it was a 5-year extension at that stage, and I think that's a massive moment that will always live long for us. Was the feeling in Korea that was a good move for Sonny to do? Or was the feeling that maybe Spurs are now starting on a downward trend? Harry wants to leave, and maybe it's time now for Sonny to move on as well.
Let me be perfectly honest. I mean, that's the point why I'm here in the show, right? It was the moment when the fans' reaction was a bit divided, because some fans thought it was a good decision, but some fans also thought they wish Son to have a chance to move to a bigger club. Obviously, I'm being honest, because obviously, even if we all know that Spurs is a great club, but it's also a fact that Spurs was struggling to get a trophy, right? But after all, when the players retired, some people say I don't 100% agree with that, but some people say only trophy is important or something like that. So some fans also wanted Son to move to a club which can win the trophy more easily. So at that moment, it was the fans' reaction was a bit divided. But I mean, overall, when we look back now, the Son's decision, and one thing I could add on top of that was, I believe, in reality, if Son didn't sign the contract at that timing, Son could have more options for sure, I think. But Son, by signing the contract at that moment, Son showed his loyalty to the club, his love to the club, and because of this decision, we could all see what Son achieved at the end of his career at Tottenham. Almost, I mean, the miracle moment, the whole love on Son, everything that was possible because of the decision, I believe.
Yeah, it was, like I say, an unbelievable time. And then, I mean, Jace, this is for you, the big moment in our appreciation of Sonny, and just probably why his legacy for many out there will be bigger than Harry Kane's. Is that fair, Jace, to say that? Because Harry, did come through the academy. That song of him is one of his own. But I think if you are to poll Tottenham fans now, they'd maybe say Sonny is more of one of our own. What do you think of that, Jace?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it is personally. I think, and this is meant with no disrespect to Harry at all, who we still have great affection for. Let's be honest. He hasn't left like Sol Campbell left or anything like that, has he? But I think Harry that summer was putting his career first, and that was totally understandable. I think we all felt that Harry was at a level of ability when he should be winning trophies, and that Tottenham had fallen downwards since Poch had left. And we totally understood Harry's desire to make that move. We just didn't necessarily agree with the way he did it with the Gary Neville interviews and that. But at that same time, you felt that where Harry put his career first, Sonny put Tottenham first. You know, I'm sure had Sonny said, "Okay, my time's up," I don't think at that time there was a team in the Premier League that wouldn't have wanted Sonny in that side. And that's as a player, regardless of all the other appeal that Sonny can bring you. So he was good enough to go to Manchester City with Harry Kane. He was good enough to go to Barcelona's or Bayern Munich's or anything. There's not a side that wouldn't have taken prime Heung-min Son, left foot, right foot, just the speed that he had, the dribbling abilities. So without a doubt, he could have moved completely at that time, even to the more so in a way than Harry, who had the goals and things. But I just think he put Tottenham first where Harry put Harry first. And that's, like I say, that's not a criticism of Harry, but that makes a massive difference to Sonny's legacy at Tottenham for sure.
Yeah. And we go to 2022, Samo, you know, that saw Sonny share the Premier League Golden Boot. I have to ask you, did you ever believe you'd see an Asian winner, or let alone a Korean winner, reach such an achievement? And this must have been something Korea fans must be very proud of, right? Am I right in saying that, Samo?
Of course, and of course, 100%. And then even after, I mean, even I was following Son from the beginning when he was in Spurs, he arrived to Spurs. Honestly, I never imagined that this could be happen, really, to get a golden boot. And I must say, by doing that, by getting the golden boot with Spurs without any penalty, this is very important, without taking any penalties, he proved, this is what I really want to emphasize, that he proved Asian players is not just something like, oh, they can play well in Premier League, not that level. Asian players can be the top, the very top in European football. And that legacy, that record, that legacy he made can open so many ways to all younger generations of Asian footballers. So, and then for Tottenham's perspective, Tottenham also can be proud of, Tottenham was the platform for that. Tottenham was the home was for Son to achieve that huge achievement to win the Golden Boot. So both can be very proud of that moment, and obviously, yeah, it will be remaining forever, I believe, as the most precious achievement Asian player ever get in world of football. Yeah.
Pre-season, of course.
I'll
Sorry,
give you to start that question again, Jace. You're fine to go. Go for it.
Yeah. After winning that Golden Boot, Spurs pre-season finally went to Sonny's home country, South Korea, played Team K-League, All-Star team, and Sevilla also in that tournament. How special was it to finally see Sonny come home with Tottenham to his home country? What was the demand for tickets like? Just the whole scene around Sonny's homecoming, because I think all the Tottenham players on that tour will have seen just how overwhelming it was for them to just see what Sonny meant to his home nation.
You know, it was kind of a perfect, it was really perfect timing for Tottenham to visit South Korea, right? Right after Son got the Golden Boot. And also Tottenham came back to Champions League under Conte, right? So it was the perfect timing. And this time when I was working with Alistair Gold and Jay Harris, following them from Hong Kong to Seoul this time, South Korea, Tottenham visited South Korea 3 times while Son was here. Actually, Son made a short trip separately from the groups, but not like that entire team, 3 times. and 2022 was absolutely the best, because at the time the whole mood for the club, for the manager, for Son, obviously, for everything was so perfect, even in the extent what the journalists, including Ali, or other UK journalists are eating, make a news headline. They related Korean foods, this, and then it was on the news the next day. Everybody loved Tottenham for everything. There was pure love everywhere. I believe it was the best moment, really, at 2022. So the best moment in terms of the atmosphere from the fans, everything, it was the best timing, and I was very lucky and happy and privileged to work there. Yeah, really, very thankful. Yeah.
Incredible times.
Just on that, Sonny,
Sure,
how
sure.
did Ali enjoy his kimchi?
I mean, he doesn't like spicy food, so but he doesn't hate that, but I think he doesn't particularly like it. He prefers some chicken, something like that. Yeah, Korean chicken. Yeah.
There you go. An exclusive. I'm sure Ali at some point will maybe check this out. And we've now found out that Ali doesn't like spicy food, so we'll bear that in mind if we're ever going to invite Ali out at some point with Sambo.
I tell you, kimchi is brilliant food. Kimchi, spicy food, can't beat it.
Of course.
Can't beat it.
We've seen what you eat on your Instagram, Jace. That's enough for all of us. We've seen what you eat out there. Bless you. Look, we're going to fast forward to August of 2023. And again, another iconic moment in Son's legacy at Spurs, where he's named the Tottenham captain. It's a huge moment for him. I have to ask you on this point, Sammo, how special was that moment for South Korea? And how did that captaincy highlight Sonny's values as a person?
Well, as I said from the beginning of this show, what I really feel, what's amazing about Son is how he is loved by his teammates. Yeah, it's natural that the players are loved by the fans, of course, but the way their teammates, I saw them right in front of my eyes, not online, in the mixed zone, everywhere, sometimes even in the hotel. I saw that they are hugging each other, they are greeting each other everywhere. The way that his son's teammates love him, respect him, just shows how his character is, and I think that eventually was one of the reasons why he could be the captain. And obviously, it was very proud moment for Son, for Korean people as well. So, and it was Ange to appoint him as a captain, right? And then, yeah, it was very nice memory and very grateful moment, I think, overall. Yeah.
Last season, as we come into his last season, was the first real difficulties for him since that very first one, when criticism, as the team was struggling, there was criticism from outside about his leadership on the pitch. There was accusations maybe that Sonny's best days were finished, his legs had gone. Do you think they were fair criticisms, and was it difficult to see such criticism of him? And how much would he have been hurt by some of those suggestions?
What I would like to, this is the very difficult question difficult topic, I think, to discuss. But what I would like to be fair about this one is that I do understand there could be fair criticism in football, and it's natural. The fans always can criticize players, and as they praise the players. But there are some kind of not fair criticism, just emotional, almost, and also just a bit mockings or bullish, or online bullish. Those kind of things is eventually, I'm sure Son is not reading all of that daily basis, but eventually it comes to Son fans in Korea, and also it reaches to Korean media, and then from there, it can inevitably reach to the player and the club as well. So those kind of emotional, not fair criticism, just emotional criticism made the relationship between the club, the player and the fans, or player and the club difficult. It can make like that. So, especially what I would like to say is that, as I said, I know that this is a football fans trait, kind of. Football fans in general, PL fans in general, praise players when they have 5 good games and then criticize right away when they had like 2 or 3 bad games, right? You can say it's a trait, but especially it's a bit serious in online, especially Twitter or X, on social media. Sometimes it's a bit too much, just like what happened to Johnson, right? And I believe one thing I would like to just ask you to consider, the fans, to consider who are watching this show, especially when you are speaking about the foreign players. You need to understand, for foreign players like Son from South Korea, the fans, it's natural for them to be focused on players rather than team. So if you put emotional criticism, emotional mockings onto the player, then it hurts the fans. So it is not helping the club you are supporting, because it can make it worse for the relationship with the club, the player, the fans. So it's just like, it was very difficult for, especially it's difficult for journalists as well, because I have to be neutral as a journalist, but I'm also a human being as well at the same time. So I'm not blaming about something to anybody, but I would like to express that these were the difficult things over the past 1 or 2 seasons. And then if you have some moment, maybe you can consider about this. Yeah.
James, we'll hand back to you for one again, probably for many in the most recent memory, the most iconic moment, Jace, to hand to you.
Yeah, he finally, last season, we get that elusive trophy, a real reward for the loyalty that he showed. But how difficult was for him not to start such an important game, and how special was it? And just also on that, Sungmo, there was that really emotional interview that I think he gave to Korean TV that maybe some people still haven't seen, but you could really see how much that meant to him, for the people of Asia. The first ever Asian player to actually lift a European trophy is a really iconic moment for Asia in general.
Yeah, first of all, when I saw the starting lineup of that game, I was a bit, to be honest, I was a bit surprised, and I thought NG really has the gut. Is it correct to say he has the gut to drop Son in the bench, in the captain, in the final? But of course, I believe many fans would be upset right after they saw this starting lineup. Korean fans, I mean, but the most important thing is he explained after the game that Son's foot injury was not fully recovered yet. So it was like he was not able to play the full game, something like that. So they understand the situation. And also, the most important thing for that game was to win the game by all means. That was important, because we can all agree, I believe, if Tottenham lost that game, the whole mood right now would be very different, right? It's not only about Son, for everything. Yeah. So for that game, to win the game by all means was most important. And so I believe, and especially as I said, because he explained about Son's foot injury situation after the game, so not many people complained about the decision, especially after they hear about what NG explained. And then about the trophy lifting moment, obviously, yeah, as I said, Son is a Asian player, the best Asian player, I believe. And then it was proud of Asia, pride of Asia football, of course. And then the so many iconic photos were made in that game, right? Something, and then it will give confidence. And then all overall, watching Son, especially for Tottenham fans, I believe you guys could be more open to Asian players, their potential, what they can do. At least Tottenham fans should do that because you experience Son in your club, and that you can be proud of that. And as I said, fairly, you can be also proud that Tottenham was the platform for that. All this miracle happened. So, yeah, those were my answers for that question.
Yeah. Jace, to come to you, there may be an argument to be had that Sonny, when you look at the fact that, to call him our best ever signing, certainly the Premier League era, when I say to you that, you look at some of the statistics out there, for the most value for money transfer in the Premier League history, when you consider the interest from South Korea, of which 12 million of their 51 million are Spurs fans, or so Spurs claimed in 2022, Spurs even almost made their money back on the initial fee, and Son goes for an MLS record fee of more than 20 million. And, when you rattle off the stats, 173 goals, 101 assists in 454 games. But I think for many out there, they do also agree that the fact this might be the perfect time to say goodbye. Does he go down, in your opinion, as being our best ever signing, certainly of the Premier League era, Jace?
I think you'd have to say of the Premier League era, he definitely is our best ever signing. We have made some good ones, and some that we'll remember, like Klinsmann's, like Ginola's, like Hugo Lloris, and that were top players when they came, but they were there for Hugo was obviously there for a lot longer, but for a few seasons. But for Sonny to be there 10 seasons, it's pretty much cost us £500,000 a season, isn't it? It's £500,000 a season. And for the memories that he's left, for the quality that he had, I don't think you can say there's been a better Premier League signing for Spurs. And then probably you're having to go right back as an impact of a signing that he had on the club. Dave Mackay was a massive impact on the club, Cliff Jones and players like that. But since then, I can't remember somebody that's had such an impact on the club for such a prolonged spell. Stevie Perriman almost came through our youth teams. Glennie Hoddle also came through our youth teams. But for the longevity that Sonny's left us with, there's an argument to say he is up there amongst our best ever signings for sure.
Yeah, well, he's fourth, Jace, on the overall all-time Tottenham goal scorers. I mean,
yeah,
in a world we live in now with transfers and the way there's such a turnover in players, will anybody get close to Sonny anytime soon?
Well, Brennan Johnson get to 173. Impossible to know, Rick. I mean, I never thought I'd see Jimmy Greaves' record go to a player. So there it is. But it's going to take somebody that plays at Tottenham 10 years, 11 years, isn't it, to achieve that? And that's like I say, it's the longevity that Sonny's given us. It's 470 odd games of consistent ability. And the other thing with Sonny, he struggled a little bit last year with injuries, but he never really had that horrific, like we've just seen with James Maddison, has he? He'd have the odd groin strain or whatever like that, but he was incredibly fit throughout that 10-year period. I mean, he broke his wrist at Villa or was it against Villa or? I think it was against Villa, wasn't it?
And he carried on, didn't he? I think he carried on as well.
In that game, he carried on. That's right, he carried on. But luckily for us, he never had that serious injury that keeps you out a year, 18 months and that. Yeah. But absolutely, I think he goes down as one of the best ever signings we've ever had, for sure.
And one that you probably didn't expect me to ask you, Jace, because again, it's out of the running order, which I just like to surprise you sometimes, and someone's going to come in a second as well. When we talk about clinical footballers in front of goal one-on-one, I mean, when you look at this, for example, this is taken from a couple of years ago, a Sky graphic where they look at players and their clinical nature in front of goal with Sonny. I mean, he's up there with the likes of Haaland and Kane at the time for being in front of goal. He's been this was a couple of years ago, one of the most clinical finishes in Europe's top 5 leagues when it comes to in front of goal. I mean, can you remember in your time of supporting Tottenham, too many players that go one-on-one, and you always felt like Sonny one-on-one, he was always going to score. Is that fair?
Absolutely, mate. I think one-on-one's the hardest art for any of them because you've got so much thinking time. And, there's probably only once we can remember him missing one-on-one, isn't there? Which is the time that we were most happiest that he missed. But
Yes.
but that apart, I mean, one-on-one, you were out your seats expecting it to hit the back of the net. And you were shocked if it didn't go in. But definitely through one-on-one, I think him and Jamie Vardy was lethal one-on-one, but Sonny one-on-one was exceptional for sure.
Yeah. Do you have a comment on that, Samo, for you in terms of one-on-one, clinical Sonny? Always confident going through one-on-one, Samo?
Yeah, I mean, I wish. I mean, this is more from me, but I mean, this is more from the fans than me. That is, there is a bit of sad feelings. That is, they wanted at the end of Son's time in Spurs, they would like to see more attacking Son on the edge, because some Korean fans feel that on the edge's tactics, Son was staying too much outside, and then the left back is cutting inside, and then Korean fans will question. I think this is a bit of fair question as well, because you just showed us the XG. Son was the best, Europe's best. Then he didn't have too much chances to aim to score by himself. I mean, for some time, not always, but for sometimes. Then that is what Korean fans feel bad about at the end of his time. So maybe it works for the Europa League. Maybe it's not good for Son. We don't know. I am not saying this is right, this is wrong, but there was some feeling about that because they know Son is the most critical. I mean, winger or striker, forwards.
Yeah.
So they wanted to see more from him. Yeah.
Only because you brought that up, Summer. I hope you don't mind. I don't ask you this. We've all said here, I think between myself, you and Jason, we've said that we feel it's the perfect ending for us personally. Do you feel for South Korean fans, would they have maybe liked to have seen a glimpse of Sonny under Frank to see if there would have been a massive change in terms of his performance, his goals, his assists for next season? What do you think? Because, I mean, look, people still forget. I mean, Sonny last season, he still got 20 GAs last season. It wasn't like he completely declined and fell off a cliff. He still had a decent output. So was there, I think, a temptation to maybe see if Sonny would have got back to a different level under Frank? What do you think on that?
Me, right?
Yes, give me. You. I mean, maybe you give your view on South Korea. If you got comfortable to give your view on South Korea.
No. I can say that. I mean, actually, for the same topic, I spoke with Jay Harris at The Athletic, who followed the trend and Brentford as well. Brentford and now covering Tottenham. And I talked with him because he knows Thomas Frank very well, especially his time at Brentford. And then both of us said, considering his style, Son could have more chance in central way. So Son could aim more for scoring himself. So we said, yeah, it is likely to happen if he stays. But the thing is, and also some Korean fans sad to see Sonny leaving Tottenham right now because they wanted to see Son one more season, especially competing in the Champions League as well. And also considering under Thomas Frank, Son's role could be changed a bit. But the thing is, both parties agreed that this is the best timing to say goodbye. And then when we consider all things we said now, and then considering Son is a new start, fresh start, and especially we have World Cup next year in USA, and Son is playing in America from maybe next week or tomorrow or next week. So it will be a good preparation for him as well in USA. So considering, and then also I said, Thomas Frank wants to make the rebuild freshly, then considering all these situations, they also already agreed that this is the best way. So I believe, yeah, that's the way. Yeah.
We've got some final quick fire questions to ask you, Sunmo.
Yep.
Son was voted the best footballer in Asia 9 times in the last 10 years, from 2013 to 2023, with only Shinji Okazaki beating him in that period when Leicester won the league. Is it fair to say that he is Asia's greatest ever player by a long way?
Yeah.
And just how
Yes.
big a legacy for Korea and Asia does he leave?
I mean, let me ask you. I mean, I don't need even 1 second to answer the question. I mean, it's either Son or Park. I mean, there is often some kind of online kind of debate or who is better, right? Son,
Yep.
Park, right there, right? But
Yep.
to be fair, I'm also close to Jisung Park. I had an interview with Jisung Park, one-to-one interview, so many times, and I have his number. I mean, and I sometimes I have some communication with him, and even I had to ask him to Jisung Park many times, not from me, but because my bosses asked me to do, or the fans asked me to do.
Yeah.
To Jisung Park, you or Son, who is better?
Okay.
To be simple, and
Yeah.
then Jisung Park answers right away. Obviously, Son is better. Son is better. And then that doesn't mean Park is not bad. That doesn't mean Park is bad. Park was also a great player. He was really, I respect him a lot. But what Son did was, how can I say? He, as I said before, he showed another level of what Asian players can do. And as I said, what he achieved in Premier League is beyond Asian level. To keep saying this is Asia, this is Asia, this is Asia, maybe it's a bit too small for him, because what he did in Europe is top of Europe.
Agree.
It's not only in Asia, right? So that is the legacy, I would say, what Son made. Yeah.
Yeah. Some unbelievable. It really is. Jace, I'll hand over to you if I can, and just unmute you, Jace. Spare me 1 sec. Off you go.
Spurs fans and English fans in general, particularly of Premier League clubs, we often see international matches and international breaks as you will hear people saying, "Oh, why are we stopping for meaningless games? England may be playing Belarus or Latvia, and they're dismissed as irrelevant, totally irrelevant. Just get the Premier League back." And there would be resentment to see Son play for Korea against, I don't know, against Lebanon or some of the smaller the Asian nations. But just how much did playing for Korea and captaining Korea did it mean to Sonny?
There are two aspects for that, I believe. The first one is South Korean people in general regards their country very importantly, comparing to other nations, I think. To explain about this, it will require so long time, but let me put it very simply. Because of historical, cultural reason, backgrounds, South Korean people really, value their country very well. So that is one of the reasons why you could see so many South Korean flags in the Tottenham Stadium, right? They are proud to show their flags. We are Korean. And they feel Son as if their own family. They have very, very strong bond in their nation. So that is one of the reasons, because Son is also South Korean. And one more reason is that Son himself said many times, so many times, I'm happiest when I'm playing, right? You heard it so many times, right? So he even wants to play while he's injured, when he can, right? He always wants to play. So he cannot be happy sitting on the bench. Even the opposite side is a weaker nation or not, that doesn't matter. He wants to play every game, especially for his country. So And then especially when he's the captain of the country, he even feel more responsibility. That makes I understand you guys can feel like that, because after the international match, Son should come back to the club, and then he should play the important games. But why he play so many games? But I believe he wants to play every single game by himself. I mean, because he's happiest when he's playing, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree. Look, obviously Sonny's leaving. We have to ask you about another South Korean that Spurs have got in their ranks that has just recently completed a loan move to Portsmouth in Yang Min Hook. What do you think? I mean, to ask you, Mo, on this point, will we ever see another Korean or Asian have the effect that Sonny has had on top level football the way Min Son has done? And what do you also hope for Yang Min Hook for the future? Because obviously this season Spurs have loaned him.
I mean, I'm keep saying this. Let me be honest, because I'm keep saying this. But if I'm being honest, to see another Son level of player won't be easy. Won't be easy. Yep. It's a generational talent, to put it into word, right? So it won't be easy. But Yang Min-hyuk is also very promising player. When he was playing in K-League, everybody could feel how great he could be. But the thing is, he needs time. All those 10 young prospects needs time, just as Son struggled in the first season, but in the second season he started on fire, right? So I mean, for Yang, what I can say is that he definitely has potential to be a next star, but what you would need is not for all young prospects. You need patience to wait for their development. That is why I would like to say.
Mo, now Sonny has left, and I want to ask you, how do you see the solidity of support for Spurs in Korea, and whether you feel that may tail off and go back to maybe below Man United, Liverpool, or do you think a large part of that support will forever be with Spurs? What's your feelings on that?
It won't be the same. It cannot be the same. This is not only about Son. It is about all South Korean players when they left the club. Because, as I said, I think it's not only Korea as well. For foreign players, especially from some kind of Asian countries, when the fans were focused more on player. So when the player leaves, the fans follow the player, right? So it cannot be the same. So sadly, it cannot be the same. But what I can say is that the fact that those fans are not watching Tottenham games anymore, or not visiting Tottenham Hotspur Stadium anymore, doesn't mean they lost their 100% of interest into the club, because they still have soft spots and even good memories, bad memories about Tottenham, which means they can't restart it at any point. For example, if Yang, in not this season maybe, but the season after this season, if Yang starts to play in the first team and play well, or if you get another South Korean player in midfield or in defense anywhere, then it can start again. I don't want to compare that extent of Son had, but the interest about the club, the memories about the club will stay. So it can restart at any point in the future. So I wish that Tottenham and Korean fans to have good memories of each other as much as possible after Son left, so that they could meet again. Young-pyo Lee left. Young-pyo Lee joined Tottenham. It was 2005, isn't it?
Yes.
In 2005, right? And then
Yes.
Son joined Tottenham 2015, isn't it? Right.
Yes.
So, and then, I mean, at the time, right now, more and more South Korean players are coming to Europe. So there are good chance that you either Yang or other Korean player play in the first team for Spurs. So it's not end of the world. So it's not like you can block me right now, right after this show or something. So we can keep in touch, and then we can.
Of course. We can. Well, I think we've been in touch somehow for the last 5, 6, 7 years with you. It's been great, and it's just been amazing to see the journey. And I think, you know what, it's going to be. It is going to be. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I will use the word interesting to see what a Spurs looks like without Sonny, because as I've said, a lot of people growing up have only known Spurs with Sonny. So this is a new era for a lot of fans out there to have to get used to. For a player to be at a club for 10 years, as we know now, in modern day football, is very, very rare. And that's why it brings me to ask you, Jace. I don't know how you're going to boil this down to one. I mean, what is, or can you find one? What is your overriding memory of Sonny? And for someone who I will just say who appreciates the history of our club, and I've said this on many, many shows, has got a deep root feeling for Asian football and Asian culture. Where does Sonny stand for you amongst the real, true Tottenham greats?
I think for me, the overriding memory is just the pure joy he gave in playing and entertaining us. The humility that he always showed. And in the same way, you remember that image of Pochettino when the rainbow came over the old White Hart Lane, and you just looked at Poch and thought, he really gets what Tottenham is. I think Sonny as a player always got what Tottenham is. And he gave us his very best all the time. He showed total respect to our shirt, that loyalty that we talked about earlier. He was a really special footballer for us, one that will never, ever be forgotten, but as a wonderful human being as well, that was respected through the league. And we said it in our group chats the other day. I think maybe because of the ending for Harry, we'll always have an affection for Harry, but total respect for everything, his remarkable goal record that he did at Tottenham. We'll never speak badly of Harry, but you get the feeling we'll respect Harry forevermore, but we'll absolutely love Sonny forevermore. That's the big difference. And the fact that the send-off videos, like I say, this week were so different from what it was to Harry. Maybe in fairness to Harry, that Sonny was given a little bit more license by the club than Harry was, because of the way that it came about. But just to see him have that send-off videos this week was classy. And like Songmo said, I really hope we do get that chance to give him the send-off within the stadium, because 60,000 want to say goodbye to him, and for sure. And for me, the true greats of this football club are the players that won that double, that won that first European trophy, that have set the standards for this football club that we've struggled to live up to ever since. So for me, your Mount Rushmores of Tottenham, if you like, will always include Dave Mackay's, Cliff Jones, John White's, Jimmy Greaves, Danny Blanchflowers. They're the real legends of this football club for everything that they achieved for Tottenham, and for putting Tottenham to the forefront at the time of world football. But beyond that level, if you look at it with your Glenn Hoddles, your Stevie Perrymans, the Pat Jennings, I think Son and Harry are on that level of respect that this club has. You know, Harry's gone down obviously as our club's record goal scorer, and Sonny to do what he's done. They're above your Jermaine Defoe's and the David Ginolas and the Klinsmans and things like that. They're two genuinely legend figures, but like I say, Sonny will always be loved, perhaps a little bit more than Harry. And like I say, he got what being Tottenham was, and that loyalty was fantastic that he showed us.
It does feel like now that I'm getting to that point of actually admitting a goodbye. It's taken this show to do that to me. Nearly 2 hours of our time where it's just been great reminiscing about Son and Sunmo. Like I say, we've had a relationship with you over, many, many years. And I know you've had now, again, you've kind of gone through the journey of what it's been like following Tottenham. How interesting now is this kind of next pathway, even for you, kind of as to what comes next for Son and for Tottenham? Because like you said, and you've mentioned this a couple of times, whatever happens, it's going to be different somehow, right? And I've got to say, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you join us for us, so we can't thank you enough.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, like 10 times today, I would like to be 100% honest on this show.
You have been. You've been brilliant.
Yeah, I said it cannot be the same. But you asked a bit like my goal is to, from now on, is that I'd like to, as much as I can, I'd like to keep following Tottenham and also Son at the same time. I'd like to. So I want to be kind of in the middle person who can connect each other. So if you guys follow me, I'm not saying please follow me, something like that. I'm sorry. Then you can still see what Sonny is doing, something like that. So, and then also I'd like to share the Tottenham what is doing, but realistically there could be a limit how I can do further. But let me try. And then really, Jason said that I was there also in the last game of White Hart Lane. At the end of the ceremony, there was a rainbow, right?
Yeah.
Over the sky, and I was watching it, and it was just a perfect. And Tottenham in general, Tottenham is a club which cannot be explained in words. It makes miracles. That is the beauty of this club, I believe, Tottenham. So, and as I said twice or three times today, let me finally say one more time. You had a really fairy tale with Son, the beautiful story with Son. So you can be proud of it. You can be proud of Son as well. And then also you can be proud of that you are the club. Tottenham is the club which made this Son's history same in your club. So be proud of it and remember about that in a positive way. And then when you have a chance to have, it's for Yang as well, because he's your player, Yang, or if you have any chance to have another Korean player or another Asian player, as I said in the middle, I mean, if you can show a bit of more support in fair way, in wider way, then it will be helping for many things. So I'm sorry. So that's all. I better stop here before I keep saying 1 hour more.
No, listen, it's been tremendous, and I mean, Samo, for those that do want to follow Son's journey closely, where can they follow what you do? Because I know, again, you're very prominent on social media. Where would be the best place to follow you to understand more about what comes next for Sonny?
Well, I mean, for English audience, I use my Twitter, X, and then I also have YouTube, but it's more like for Korean audience because everything in there is Korean. So if you are interested, you can see my YouTube as well. But for English audience, maybe my Twitter, so that we can communicate. So yeah, I will be looking forward to we have something in the future that I can be in this show again, whenever it will be.
Fingers crossed, because it's been a real pleasure, and it's taken so many years for us to all get together. Jace, we're at the end of that era. We knew with this interview coming up, this will be probably the last time we're going to discuss Sonny at this length, but it is time to allow Sonny to move on, and we've also got to move on as well. It's going to be strange, isn't it? But I think you'll agree it's been great to speak about Sonny in such great lengths, and it also makes you realise just how much, as you said, he got Tottenham.
Yeah, the impact he's had on everything at our football club is huge. But as you say, it's move on time now. I wish him all the best. Hopefully he doesn't win the World Cup for America like he's been asked to do. Hopefully he remembers to put a Korean shirt on, not a USA shirt.
Don't worry, he won. Impossible.
But you know, be fantastic to see him in the latter stages of the World Cup, and just I wish him all the best, mate. It's a fitting ending. Good luck to him and his family, because I think his dad's become almost part of Tottenham's legend as well.
Yes, everyone does love Sonny's dad for just the way he is so. Listen, it's been an amazing interview. Sam, I want to say a massive thank you to you for making this possible, because for what you've told us about Sonny, we wouldn't know a lot of the things that have come out of this interview. So it's been really fascinating. So we look forward to staying closing contact. Jace, thank you so much as Jason makes his way off to Italy for the Super Cup final. We are going to leave you with Son's final interview as he departs from Tottenham, in which we wish Sonny all the very, very best for what comes next. From myself, from Jason, from Summo, it's time to close and hand over the stage to Heung-min Son, who says goodbye for the last time.
Yeah, all the Spurs fans. Yeah, I made such a hard decision that I will leave Spurs family. Which was one of the hardest decisions I ever made. And as I said, there will be no forever. And I gave all. I know it sounds very surprising. I know it sounds very hard. And because I gave all, and I feel like I need a new chapter. So it was probably one of the hardest decisions I ever made. So please don't be disappointed. I will be disappointed not seeing you on the pitch. I'll be always in your history book. So, and Spurs will be always in my heart. Spurs will be always in my family. And as a kid, you welcome me, and as I grow up, I'm leaving you. But there's always good timing. I always want to live that in a perfect way, that people can thinking about me, very proud moments and very happy moments. And yeah, this is the right time to say goodbye. And yeah, I love you all. Thank you for amazing support for the 10 years. 10 years is a lot, but also a lot of goals and a lot of good memories. So don't forget, it was one of my hardest decisions. It was huge honor to wearing Spurs kits. Huge honor playing for you. And I hope we see each other very, very soon. And all the best. Champions League, Premier League, FA Cup. I wish you win all these four competitions. And we see you very, very soon. Now we are all crying. But next time when we see each other, I hope everybody's smiling. So thank you so much for your amazing support for 10 years. And come on, you Spurs.